Mexico Sound on the Cedar Island Ocracoke ferry. Anyway, last time I was on this ferry, I was 30 years old.
Last time?
Yeah. It's a funny story. It's one of these road trips that you never forget because you can't. Labor Day weekend, 95. Actually 30. Yeah, I was 30 years old. I decided to go to Wilmington because I wanted to see the battleship that's there as a museum. Well, on the way there, Wilmington has a main bridge, is a lift bridge, right? Well, a tractor trailer that was oversized hit one of those supports to the lift bridge. It was the worst traffic jam I've ever seen in my life. Every road in every direction was jammed. Plus, I was driving my 30-year-old Olds convertible down there, and I was nailed in the rear while I was there. I got stuff in traffic. The car started to overheat. Back then, they had a ferry that left later. It left at 8:30. So I basically ran around the battleship, taking pictures at top speed as fast as I could, because that ferry leaves at 8:30. 8:30 anchors up and it's out of there. And it was like 5:45. And I'm like, my car's losing coolant. I'm like, can we make it? And I got into the car, I added some water to the radiator, and I beat that thing. I must have been doing, like some of these back roads, I was doing like 95 miles an hour. I made that last ferry with 15 minutes to spare. And in fact, I still have the sticker from Harris that on the car when that time I brought it down. I still own the car. After that, I wouldn't get rid of it. Even when my fiance told me I had to get rid of it, I got rid of her instead and kept the car. I told her, I said, listen, that's not going to happen. Not in this lifetime. Plus, I just put too much work into it, you know? It would be like selling a child to me. Yeah, that car made it all the way up to Philly with a leaky radiator. I mean, about every 100 miles, I'd have to add some coolant to it. But it made it. I said that day, I'm never selling this car. You know, it proved itself. Like someday I'd like to take it back down here. The problem is, like today, I can't remember a September that's been this hot. In Philly, it's like over 100 degrees. And I'm just glad I'm not there, because if I was there, my air conditioning bill would be up the wazoo. And I'm checking out places for my eventual retirement. And I'll tell you, I saw the Oriental. I saw a lot to like. I'm tired of living in big cities. Big cities are nothing but aggravation. You're packed in tight, and it's like, yeah. I mean,
I like smaller areas.
Yeah. I mean, Philly was a nice town when I was growing up, but that was like 30, 40 years ago. And the town's gotten worse.
It's kind of the same with we're from Indianapolis.
Okay.
It was a great city probably 20
Yeah.
years ago, but it's just more downhill, and it's just not what it used to be.
Oh, so you're from Indiana.
Yeah.
My other car is a 55 Packard. And next year, the Packard Club's supposed to have their meet in South Bend, Indiana. Well, you know, South Bend used to make cars.
Yeah.
If you ever heard of Studebaker, well, Studebaker and Packard merged. It was not a happy merger. One executive described it as two drunks trying to help each other cross the street. But I own one of the last 2 years they made Packards, and I'd actually like to drive it to South Bend. Whether I could make it to South Bend, that's a question, but yeah, I put so much money and effort into these cars that it like I say, it would be like selling a child. I got one more ferry after this, and then I'm on my way to Manteo.
Where?
Manteo.
Oh,
I'm staying at a place called Pirates. Pirates something.
yeah.
I bet when that sun goes down, it really gets dark fast. So what are you going to do for a living in Manteo?
Well, my husband, he has a job where he travels, the travel nurse.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
My husband has a job where he's a travel nurse.
Okay.
So they basically fly him back and forth from wherever he lives.
Okay.
So we just kind of figured out, like, okay, what debts do we need to pay off?
Right.
Like, what do we need to do so we won't have to have my income?
Right.
So that's gonna, it's been a long plan.
I can imagine.
Coming here, it's kind of been a dream of ours. It's been nice between these past couple weeks. I got the kids enrolled in school.
Well, that is really stunning. The first time I went here, the first thing I noticed about the Outer Banks is when I had to go out of the house and get something for my car. And I looked up and I saw the stars. And I couldn't believe how many of them there were.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, I ain't never seen that many stars at home. Never.
Yeah.
But the nice part about this area, it's relatively unsecured.
Yeah.
Like, years ago, I was fishing in the river by my home. I caught a striper. I put it back.
Yeah.
I would not eat a striper out of the Delaware River because I've seen some of the stuff that's in the Delaware River. But I mean, it's gotten a lot cleaner, but
Yeah.
I still wouldn't eat anything out.
Trust
Yeah, I wouldn't eat anything out of it. Except if you're into Poconos. The Poconos, you're okay.
Okay.
Anywhere from Trenton on down. Yeah. Not gonna eat anything out of there.
Yeah, we've probably had 4 or 5 nights since we've been here where we've been able to see the Milky Way. And I don't think
never seen it in my entire life. And
Well,
I've been around a bit.
hopefully it's clear enough tonight to be able to see it.
That would be something. But,
It's nice. We just enjoy taking the ferries.
yeah, I mean, I could have driven and it would have taken less time. But
Yeah.
this way, I can relax.
Yeah.
I can talk to somebody.
Right.
You know,
You don't
I
have
can
to
actually
drive.
enjoy the scenery instead of blasting by.
Yeah.
Because I've been awake since about 3 a.m. this
Yeah.
morning. And trust me, I know how it is to stay up extended hours.
Yeah.
Although not as much anymore because I'm getting older. But,
It's kind of nice to sleep on the ferry too.
oh yeah. I can't sleep on anything in motion.
Yeah.
I get on a train, I get on a plane, I can't sleep.
Yeah.
I get on a boat, I can't sleep.
The ferry seems to do it for me. I think it's the noise
Uh-huh.
or something.
The hum, that hum.
Yeah.
But I checked out this place. One night I was working at 30th Street, and that's the main Amtrak train station in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
It used to be Pennsylvania Railroad, was built in the 30s. It's a fantastic building.
Yeah.
Not to say what some of the stuff that goes on in there is.
Yeah.
But guy came in and he was obviously from the Carolinas. I could tell by the accent. And I'm like, where are you from? And he was like, Orient. And I said, where's that? And he says, well, have you ever been to the Outer Banks? And I said, yeah, I've been going to the Outer Banks almost, no, it's actually over 20 years. And he said, well, this is what they call now the Inner Banks. And it's like, it's on the mainland, but you got water all around. And I said, you like it there? And he said, oh, I couldn't imagine living any other place. So he delivered a truck, and that was his last job. He was, when he got home, he was taking the train home. He was taking it to Wilmington, and somebody was going to pick him up and drive him home. And he said he was retiring. That was his last job. And he said he couldn't imagine living anywhere else, and said I ought to give it a look-see. And I went down. Well, first thing I did was I went on the internet, got some information, and I looked at a house today.
Yeah.
It blew my mind.
Really?
Brick 2,000 square foot house, dedicated boat slip, and it was in a development that had a pool and a clubhouse. I mean, if you would go to the Jersey Shore and try to buy a house like this, you'd be talking $500,000. And this house was like $225. I was like, that's a steal.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't beat that price.
Yeah, there was a house I saw on the way, because we drove to Morehead City, and I saw it about halfway between Cedar Island and Morehead City, and there was a house we passed, and I slowed down each time because it was a for sale by owner.
Right.
But it had to be like right on the water. The water had to be just right behind it. And it was like 3 acres. It said 3 bedroom, 1 bath. It was a nice looking house.
Yeah.
It was 95,000. Like,
The only thing I would be leery about living directly on the water, only because 1 year I was here, I was lucky. I was here for Floyd. I left the morning Floyd hit.
okay.
And last year when they had that coastal storm,
Okay.
I was here 2 weeks. Second week I had 5 straight days of rain. I was going out of my mind because what do you do when you come down here? You go fishing, you go craft. I couldn't do neither because in addition to the rain, it was also nasty, like high winds and cold and yuck.
Now, what year was Floyd?
90, I think it was either 99 or 2000.
Okay.
And I ought to remember because actually it also hit the Delaware Valley particularly hard. There was a fellow officer I knew who worked out of Wilmington, and we had a training facility called West Yard. It's right inside Wilmington, and there's like a small stream that runs through the area. Really small stream, except the night Floyd hit. They had to call Wilmington's Marine unit because he fell asleep in the police car, and the water actually rose. When he woke up, his feet were wet. And the police vehicle was surrounded by about 5 feet of water. And Wilmington fished him out of the vehicle, and of course the vehicle ended up being totaled. But if you've ever seen the Christiana River, you fall in that, you don't drown, you decay. It is probably the, I mean, we got a number of nasty waterways up there, but that's probably the nastiest there is. In fact, in front of the train station in Wilmington, the manhole covers were popping off the sewers. Rats. Imagine thousands of rats scattering in every direction. I mean, I'm sure some of them must have lived down there for 50 years. But Wilmington has a riverfront park. It's got signs all over it. No fishing, no crabbing. You're not allowed to even touch the water. That's how dirty the water is. That's about the last insult the Delaware has to take before it goes into Delaware Bay. My name's Mike.